Hey everybody, it's Ben here. I will be your host today. We're at the record company, and what we're going to do is teach some folks who are new to the world of DJing and DJ gear and DJ setup, kind of the ins and outs of what you would need to build a rig from scratch, some of the key components and building blocks that would go into a live rig if you want to go out into the world and DJ. And we've got some experts inside who are going to show us everything we need to get started. We are here inside at the record company, and if you've come for information on how to set up a DJ rig, we've got a professional here to help. This is DJ Joshua Carl. Josh, thanks for joining us here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You can see he's brought some equipment here, some turntables. So we're gonna head inside. We're gonna unbox all of the stuff we've been sent. He's gonna walk you through how it all works and connects, and probably teach me a thing or two as well. And we'll get to hear some sounds, we'll get to see how things work, and hopefully you'll walk away with some knowledge on how to put together your own DJ rig, right?
Yes, sir, let's go.
All right, let's go. So we're in our rehearsal space now. I think before we dig into all the gear, let's get to know Josh a little bit better.
I'm a 25-year plus DJ veteran of the city of Boston. I've traveled all around the world. I've played in Japan, India, and everywhere in between. I'm also a video DJ. I dabble in video production. I own a company called Profound Groove, which specializes in bringing advanced DJ sets to the wedding and party environment as well.
So now is the fun part. We're gonna start to unbox some things. Josh is probably gonna teach me a thing or two because I don't come from the DJ world. Our good friends at American Music and Sound have sent to us the StandHub Pro. I'm assuming a laptop is probably a key part of your gear?
Stands, unless you're using thumb drives and CDJs, you're using a computer. If you're using a computer, you need a reliable stand. A reliable stand is more important than you'd probably first consider. Mostly because if somebody walks into it or if a gust of wind hits it, your computer's going, and unless you have a really robust Apple Care plan or disposable income, you don't want to buy another $2,000 computer. So a good stand is really important. Stands like this one actually have all the I/O that you need. So if your computer is, say, a 2015 MacBook Air and you only have one USB-C connectivity port on it, you connect that to this, and this opens up all the connectivity that you need. If you're going to be a video DJ, that has HDMI, it's got SD card reader as well, it's got 4 USB-C ports, and then you just run all your stuff through here. It makes for great cable management and a real sort of like beautification of your DJ services. If you're a wedding DJ who don't want a rat's nest of cables, this will manage all that. The Reloop has made a lot of things like this over the years, and this is a winner right here. It's robust, it's aluminum, it's light, it fits in your bag, has a nice pouch.
So next up, Josh, we have got some Fostex headphones here. The T50RP, this is the Mark IV version. What sort of role do headphones play in your setup?
This is very controversial. I'm about to spill some tea
here.
So, as technology has gotten better, there's a lot more visual aids to mixing, which has leaned to the idea that some DJs don't even use headphones anymore. Okay. I'm not that guy, and I don't really subscribe to that. I've been DJing for over 20 years, so I like monitoring, I like mixing in my headphones. Basically, when you see a DJ wearing the headphones, it's what they're doing is they're queuing up the next song, and they're listening with one ear, and I happen to do it this way. Because they have a monitor right here that's playing the song that's going to the front of house. And it allows you to mix the songs together in real time and hear the inconsistencies that you want to fix before you introduce the track to the floor.
So as the lay person, when I'm out on the dance floor, I'm hearing the audio that you're sending out to the monitors. Correct. You're listening to something different?
Yes, I'm listening to the next song, and the things I'm listening for is A, if I got the tempos matching.
Okay.
And B, I want to make sure there isn't any real obvious clash. I want to make sure the levels are right. I want to make sure that even if you're not mixing in key, which a lot of us do, it isn't like a really, really, really bad sound clash. Oftentimes, I'll pick out a track, load it, and I'll start mixing it in, and then I hear the two together, and I'm like, you know, these aren't going to work.
So they'll be in different keys.
Yeah, they'll be in different keys, or they're just not gelling. And I'll say, like, you know what, let's go with a different one. Sometimes you load a track and you instantly hear in your headphones like it's the same drum kit, it's the same key, it sounds amazing together.
The vibe is
green light, go. Yeah. So that's what we're doing in these. These are actually really nice. They're light. You don't want to get big, heavy studio cans.
Yeah.
You'll start to get fatigued. Your ears will actually start to hurt. The cartilage out here, when you're doing like 5-hour gigs, your cartilage in your ears will start to get sore. And then, of course, as we all know, protection is not the worst thing. You can always turn your volume down in your headphones and put these on and give yourself a little bit of respite from 110 dBs.
So we're gonna continue our unboxing adventure. This is the CAD Audio Live. This is a D90. This is a dynamic microphone. When people think DJs, they're not always thinking necessarily microphones, but talk us through why, as a live performance DJ, you'd want a mic.
This is a supercardioid mic, which obviously changes the pickup location of the microphone, which is very important. And also, if you have a DJ company or a DJ business, you're not the only one talking on your microphone. If you're a wedding DJ, a partying DJ, when you show up, chances are your DJing is going to be subordinate to the event itself, meaning you're handing your microphone to somebody probably has never talked on a microphone before, which means you have to give them a crash course on how to hold the microphone and the sort of like ins and outs of the microphone. We've probably all been in events at a wedding where the groomsman gets the mic and he starts talking and he's doing this. Knowing your microphone is very important, and knowing the range and whether it's cardioid, supercardioid, or not is also important, because it'll give you some information of where they can hold the microphone. Some microphones you can hold down here and it's fine. Others you do need to be right here.
No, dynamic versus condenser. I know the big thing is a lot of mixing boards sometimes might not have a phantom power button, yeah. So you're just better safe than sorry. Have a dynamic mic on hand, that way you don't have to worry about power going to it,
yeah,
right?
Phantom power scares the hell out of us because oftentimes a sound engineer will put you on channel 2 or 3,
right,
which are often still phantom power channels, and then they put the mic in, and which does require phantom power, and next thing you know, that 48 hertz flies up the line and fries your board. If you always have that dynamic mic, you never have to worry about that.
We're moving on. This is a Xone K2. This is a MIDI controller that we're gonna go a little bit heavier into MIDI and MIDI mapping a little bit later on in the video with another special guest. But for now, just open this up and tell me a little bit about why a DJ might want to have some sort of MIDI control at their fingertips.
Sure. First off, Allen and Heath are legends. They're one of the most reputable audio companies in the DJ game. They have been for a long time. MIDI is important because a lot of us are digital DJs now. I still do vinyl nights where I show up with an analog mixer and put old school records on. That's great. But for doing the next level stuff, it requires MIDI. It requires hardware that can offer you digital interfaces that you can utilize all the new stuff that's coming out in every software. Serato, Algorithm DJ, Rekordbox, Virtual DJ, all these softwares are now 100% MIDI mappable.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of guy that wants to add your own drums into the samples and drum over a live set, you just map it. It's here for you. These are blank when they show up.
So this tells your software what to do. You have a physical touch control over what your software, like Ableton Live, is going to do for you. And we'll get into this in a little bit more detail. If you're just starting out in the DJ world and you're kind of confused about what MIDI does, we're going to show you actually hands-on how to map this to your software, so you can use these rotary controllers to, say, dial in some reverb on your track. Use the faders to not just control volume, but other things as well. And then you've got these touchpads here. You can trigger drum samples, you can trigger loops.
It's honestly not just limited to DJ equipment. I use a MIDI controller with Premiere when I'm editing. So if you're the kind of person that's like, hey, I'm a video editor and an audio editor and a DJ, you can use these and create profiles for all the different pieces of software that you use. So selecting a mixer is a very personal thing. It really depends on what style of DJing you aspire to do. If you're into electronic music, and your goal is one day to play a festival or play the Boiler Room or something like that, the mixer you probably want to start looking at is something like this, the PX5.
So let's take this out. This is another Allen and Heath. Nice, heavy, chunky unit.
So this is a 4-channel mixer. A 4-channel mixer with an assignable crossfader. Okay. The crossfader allows you to go back and forth between the tracks that you decide. So if you want it to be 1 and 4 or 2 and 3, you can select that, and then the crossfader will actually move between the two. But if you're in the realm of playing electronic music or even soul, you're probably not bashing on the crossfader like a turntablist. You're probably more interested in the subtle nuances of the upfaders, which give you very, very precise control over the volume of every channel. Then on every channel, you have all these different elements. You have your gain, which is how loud the track you're playing is before the fader. So when you set your gain, you're actually telling the track how loud it should be top end, and then here you have finite control.
So this is sort of
one.
telling it how much strength to give the input signal, and then this is telling how much strength to give
to the house. Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you have, these are multifunctional knobs, meaning you can select them to be filter control, which is through here. And this is actually a pretty robust filter.
Yeah.
Once you get into the realm of, like we talked about, harmonic mixing and more advanced long form mixing, this thing really comes into play.
Gotcha.
But these are also your EQs. You have highs, mids, and lows. So the way I usually explain this to people, your hi-hat rides, your cymbal crashes, your female vocals
Anything up in that range.
are usually up here.
Yep.
Your mids are usually male vocals, guitars, things like that. And then low is usually your kick drums and bass.
Gotcha.
So generally speaking, you want to play at all times with all these things at noon. A lot of us like to add a little spice here and there, depending on how a track actually comes out of the speakers. So if you're playing an old 80s song and it doesn't really have the sort of like dynamic range that you really would hoped, and you're like, oh man, I really wish I could hear the hi-hat on this like Van Halen track.
Right.
You get like, okay, well, we'll bring the hi-hat
Boost
up
the
just
highs
a
a
little.
little
What the problem a lot of guys do is they do something like this. And now what you've done is the equivalent of turn that to there. Because if you turn these all up 3 dB, it's the equivalent of turning your gain up. So
Right, and you might overload and
All
cause
that,
distortion,
yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
And I see we've also got here a switchable knob for your line inputs, your USBs, and your phono, which would be your
sure,
turntable, right?
when we get into the backside, I'll show you guys the mistakes that often are made with that and why it's important. But basically, you have a phono, which is an amplified line. So if you see a mixer with a phono, that means there's actual tiny amplifiers inside that are amplifying the noise that hits the needle on your turntable and sending it out. If you try to put a turntable through a line, there's no amplifier. So you're gonna get very, very, very quiet sound, the equivalent of putting your ear up to a record, basically. So you have to know what you're sending at all times. You have an effect send and return. This is kind of a wet dry, depending on how much or how little you want the effect that you've selected over here to interact.
And this has built-in effects, right?
It has built-in effects.
Awesome.
This has an effect send and return 1/4 inch. So if you have an outboard unit, or if you're sending it to Ableton even,
Okay, cool.
you can select how much of that is going to that software or hardware providing effects.
So we've got all of our stuff unboxed here. I think it's time to start making some connections so people can sort of visualize in their head, okay, I've got all this assembled. How do I actually put a rig together? And you can walk me through some of the pitfalls that maybe newcomers don't want to be susceptible to,
Sure.
and mistakes to avoid, right?
100%.
All right, cool. So we'll get into some of the connections in the next bit, and we'll show you how all this kind of fits together.